Good evening, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Sawdust Talk. We've got a really cool guest tonight. Mike, I've known he's an Omaha guy, and he has been focusing on St. Jude's for a while, and we're going to hear that story. I'm really excited to hear it. So, special thanks to our sponsors, George Supply Co. and Surf Prep. So they really make it easy for us to do this. So, let's get everybody piled in and see what happens.
Do I wait? Do I sit?
Hey,
Hey, buddy.
gotta give the lens a little wipey, and we should be good here.
All right, let's get Mike on, and we'll be good to go.
Awesome. What knick-knack, party wait, give a dog a bone shenanigans do we got going here? Well, fun times will be had by all. Greetings, Mike.
How's
Mike?
it going, TJ and Braden? I'm waiting for all the pop-ups on my phone to go away. I'm getting like iOS notifications and some inside of Instagram, so now it's finally clear.
You know, if you've got like an iPad or something, you could join from your Makers for St. Jude account as well, and you could just have two slots. You got two angles.
Oh, I actually have an iPad right next to me, but I'm not going to do that because that's going to cause problems.
It's gonna be
So is your shop air conditioned, Braden?
It is.
It
Yeah.
It is? Okay.
I've got a Mr. Cool mini split that's like right above me, and
Yeah, so
thank God.
I have a dehumidifier in mine. Mine's well insulated, so it's 82 with 50% humidity. So that's not bad, especially walking from the house because my shoes got wet. So outside it's like 87 and 83% humidity. So when I come in here, it feels air conditioned even though it isn't.
Yeah, it was rough today. I saw on Dan's stories, it got up to like 119 today.
Wow. Probably is car temperature.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh no, it's nasty out. I mean, my glass is fogged up coming down here and everything. So
yeah. It's relatively cool in the mornings in St. Louis, but when that sun comes out, man, it's just hot and muggy. It might as well be raining, but it's like stepping into a fart when you go out a door. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah, we have this, I think, till Friday at 9 is when it ends, but it's definitely July right now.
Well, I guess we can get started. My name's Braden. I'm with Little Bug Woodworking. I do wood stuff. I do CNC, epoxy, laser, I don't know, whatever I can get my hands on. So that's it. TJ?
Good deal. I'm TJ with TJT Workshop here in St. Louis, Missouri. The majority of the woodwork that I do involves a lathe, so I am the lunatic turning weirdo of the Sawdust Talk crew, but I stick my toe into a little bit of everything, even some metalworking. So, yeah, fun
Nice.
times are had by it.
And my name's Mike Suter. I'm with Woodworker versus Cancer. I've been a hobby woodworker for about 20 years. I mainly do furniture. Got a CNC this year ago last summer, and that's been fun to play around with. And I'm probably a wood hoarder. I have wood in the racks up here. I got wood on the floor. I got wood in my garage. But, over 20 years, you find good wood deals. And, yeah, there you go. Yeah. There's my wood racks. And then clear over there, there's some. And then, yeah, also in the garage. So, but, the thing is when you get a good deal, wood prices aren't going to go down. The only thing I've ever seen go down is cherry. Cherry right now is like cheaper than red oak, at least in Omaha. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's like 3 1/4 a board foot or something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's bananas.
Yeah, when I got into woodworking 20 years ago, cherry and walnut were about neck and neck for the premium hardwoods, and they were both upper $4s to $5 a board foot. And the funny thing was, a lot of people said walnut was too dark, and now cherry's too light. So it's changed, and it's gone. But I love cherry. And the thing is if you wait 6 months, walnut and cherry, they're about almost the same darkness. Yeah, when you freshly mill it, it's definitely pink, but cherry will age.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, I do a whole lot of green woodworking, and so all of my wood is for the most part free, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that? Yeah, wood grows on trees. There are like literally. So yeah,
So
I'm
here's a
lucky with
question
that.
for you. Since you're a turner and you deal with greenwood, have you ever done Osage orange?
Indeed,
That is hard.
indeed, but it polishes so well.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
Yeah, I learned.
it takes
So
a
a buddy of
gourd.
mine, there's a gun range not too far away, and there was an Osage orange tree that went down, and we spent a whole day cutting it up, firewood, and splitting it. And there's times when you're running your chainsaw, you'll see sparks.
Yep.
It's hard. And then I learned, do not burn it in your house,
Nope.
because it's like putting a brick of firecrackers in your fireplace, and it'll go through that grate. And
Yeah.
another thing happened, I was cleaning up my yard in the fall, and I started a fire in my fire pit and was all relaxed and threw some wood in there, and one was Osage orange. I fell asleep. Next thing I know, my jacket is smoldering.
Yeah.
So,
No, it burns so hot. Luke down here in the comments is mentioning burning hedge or Osage orange, and it'll melt your stove along with locust. That's the other one. We have a lot of locust
honey
trees
locusts,
here,
yeah.
and locusts will
We live on
burn
an
so hot
acreage.
it'll melt your stove.
We have a bunch of honey locusts, and they're the thorny ones, and those thorns are evil. I think those trees come out of the ground thorn first.
Yeah, and then after you cut them down, they start sending out shoots laterally.
Yeah, it's like worse. You should have left it alone. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like 12 of its friends show up, because we converted some smooth brome grass to prairie, and all of a sudden these things just kept coming up, and that and mulberries trees. I like mulberries, the actual fruit, but the trees are like weeds.
Yeah, the wood's pretty too, kind of like Osage. It's bright
I think they're
yellow.
related, not quite as hard, but yeah, I've actually found some mulberry hardwood, and it's pretty, but it doesn't get very wide. But it's pretty hard, but it's not Osage orange hard.
No, and it will eventually sort of turn that same orangey, browny, golden color once it gets exposed to UV light a little bit. The other thing that we're going to talk about before the show is over is I have noticed that you are a shellac man. Which I love oil finishes as much as the next guy, and we had Dave from Walrus Oil on here, and we've had the Bumbleshoots crowd on here, but shellac is like the coolest substance ever, and the fact that you're making your own cuts is some fun stuff. So if you want to talk about that a little bit, that'd be awesome.
Because the thing is, dewaxed shellac will stick to anything, and anything will stick to dewaxed shellac. So it's a great barrier coat. So if you're putting down oil-based stain and you want to do a water-based top coat, put a coat of shellac down. It sticks. Like when we bought our house, the railing was kind of discolored or whatever, and I didn't know what was on it, but I just wanted to freshen it up, and I put a coat of the wax shellac on it, and then I put varnish on it, and no problems, because you never know what's underneath it. If it's oil-based poly, once it dries, won't stick to itself. So if you have poly and then you do shellac and then you do poly again, then it'll work. So, absolutely. I use my own flakes, and I still use it. Since I kind of got into this woodworker versus cancer, I've been doing a lot of the wax oils and things, but I started out doing varnished water locks. I was a big water locks user forever, but like all my mission furniture, it's complicated. Jeff G. Witt, I don't know if you've heard of him. He's a finishing guy, but he had this mission recipe where you put down water-based dye, and then you do like a real light coat of shellac, and then you just barely sand it, and then you do oil-based stain, which gets into the pores, because water-based dyes doesn't get in the pores of oak very well. So then you do that, and then you can put your varnish on. So I've done a lot of mission furniture. I'll tell you what, it's a lot of work, but it's a cool looking finish.
Yeah, I saw you've got a really cool collection of quarter sawn oak just all over your furniture, man. I mean, like, I'm not going to pretend like that's your favorite wood, but if I had to guess based on what you've been building with, man, that's cool. Yeah. And then some sycamore also that you have.
I haven't done a lot with it lately, and I still got a bunch. So there was a lady that I worked with, and I built all kinds. I built her a mission sofa, a Morris chair, 2 end tables, a buffet, and a display cabinet, all out of quarter sawn white oak. And the guy across the river in Glenwood, he was selling his quarter sawn white oak for $3 a board foot. So I would always buy more than I needed. So yeah, I got a lot up there, and I haven't done any mission stuff for a while, but I like it. I mean, it's one of my favorite woods. Obviously, walnut's, a favorite wood, and I like cherry. And the other thing cool about the guy over in Glenwood is all his red oak, he quarters and rift saws it. So he doesn't plain saw any of it. And rift saw on red oak is really neat. Yeah, this here that I have my phone on, this is actually red oak from him, and it's all quarter, and this is solid. So
yeah, I had to dig through your Wayback Machine pretty far to get to that piece, but man, that thing is cool, and the pull-out trays and the bottom cabinet look really cool also. I mean, you just really knocked that one out of the park for sure.
Well, thank you. Yeah, the thing is, I had a WordPress site, and it was hard to keep up, and then once I got on Instagram, I kind of did some of my old projects. I just got on Instagram probably a year and a half so ago, but did some of those older ones, and built everything from mission sofas to little potty chairs. So I don't know if you saw that on the feed, but
not sure I made it to the potty chair. I was cruising pretty quick.
I think I did it for a throwback Thursday, but did that for some nephews with a router inlaid football. So
perfect. So it looks like what you're doing now is a lot of CNC work, or is this just because you got a shiny new toy?
I've been doing a lot of that. So when I got into this Woodworker versus Cancer, it was 21 months ago, I started doing charcuterie boards. And now I'll kind of back up a little bit. A buddy of mine, he's a St. Jude ambassador. And we would ride and we'd talk about what he's doing. And he's like, yeah, you should come join us. And I'm like, I wonder if I could try to use my woodworking to raise money for it. So I started out making charcuterie boards, and they took off like crazy. I've never made one before, and they took off. And then, so now that I have a CNC, it's just easier to do different designs and then do different text in it. So, but definitely, the new thing was cool. I've had a CNC on my radar for probably 6 years. So, and I was actually looking at the Onefinity. I stopped over at Daniel Dunlap's, checked his out, and sent a message to a guy in Scribner, and took my dog for a hike, came back, and a guy I know posted, I'm getting out of woodworking, I'm selling my X-Carve. And he had just completely upgraded to the 2021 components. And he listed it for cheap, included like about 120 board feet of wood, including half of it was bird's eye maple. And I read like 3 sentences, and I didn't even read the rest of them. I was like, call me. So he's like, yeah, come get it. Yeah, because the price he listed it for. So I had to take the 5th wheel hitch out of my truck, and I had work clothes on. I was greasy. I was like, I don't care. So it's fun.
Braden, I'm sorry, we've been bogarting the conversation over here. It's all part of my clever ploy.
No, I thought he was just enjoying his AC.
Yeah, no problem. I got the cold air just coming in on me. I'm just enjoying it. So, so where the Woodworkers versus Cancer? What's that? I know you have a story behind that. How'd that all kind of get involved, and then how'd you get tied up with St. Jude's? Because you had St. Jude's actually come out and film you recently.
Yeah.
So
probably the summer of 2021 was when I would ride with him, and we would talk about it or whatever. And then I was like, you know what? I think my 50-year childhood cancer survivor is coming up sometime. I didn't know when. So my mom actually had all my records from all my cancer appointments and everything. And I looked, and it's kind of hard to tell, but I was admitted October 16th of 1972. So then I'm like, okay, so October 16th of 2022, I'm going to be a 50-year childhood cancer survivor. So then I'm like, well, here, maybe I'll just kind of start it then and use that to raise money for St. Jude. So I initially came up with a goal. I wanted to raise $10 a day. So I set my goal to $3,650. And I was like, I thought it was going to be really hard. And but then I hit it. So then I'm like, okay, I'll go up to 5,000. And then I hit that. And I wanted to hit it by my 50th survivor anniversary. So then I hit 5,000. I'm like, I got to go for double at 7,300. And I just kept scrambling, making stuff. you know, I really enjoy making tables. You know, the charcuterie boards are cool, but after 70, you know, kind of like to make tables, but, you know, whatever raises money. So, you know, I was selling some tables and doing some other things. And by that, I hit 8,000 by October 16th of last year. Yeah. So then I'm like, well, I got to hit 10,000 by the end of the year, right? And I did that on December 22nd. So, and I'll tell you, it was pretty cool getting I mean, I don't care. People donate $10, $50, it doesn't matter. Every time you get that email from St. Jude saying you got a donation, it just makes you feel so good that, you know, people care about it and, you know, are doing that. So yeah, I hit the 10,000. So
Nice. Yeah, I remember when you were posting saying like, "Hey, I'm this close to the 10,000." I remember going through and like, "Okay, what's the math? We're gonna make sure he hits 10,000." So
yeah,
like
yeah.
10 minutes before, yeah, like 4 other people do the same thing too.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and you know, and my buddy who's an ambassador, he's been doing it for probably 5 years, if not more. And he says it kind of goes in spurts. You'll have a dry spell, nobody will donate, and then all of a sudden you'll get some. And you know, sometimes you just kind of tell a little story, and people will say, "Okay, I'm going to donate." So, but then in July of last year, my lady I work with in Kansas City, she called me. She says, "Hey, I got an idea for you." She said, "St. Jude Corporate is caught on what you're doing, and they want to send a film crew to your shop." And I was like, "You're kidding, right?" She's like, "Nope, they're actually coming to Kansas City to do some patient stories, and then they want to come up there and tell about your childhood cancer survivor story, and then also how you're using your hobby to raise money." So they were going to come in July, but then I think they had to film something for like a federal sponsor, maybe for the St. Jude Classic or something. But they ended up coming in October. 3 guys, great people. I mean, they were here for 3.5 hours, fun to talk with, and you know, they interviewed me. They shot me doing different woodworking, and they said, you know, we shoot the video, we edit it all, and then it goes into like a central repository. And, you know, it's kind of like clip art, right? Any place within St. Jude can pull pieces or photos or whatever. So they said, you know, it could be a year from now, they might run a story. You just don't know. So, but yeah, they were great. And the thing is they film a lot of patient stories. That's the majority of what they do. And then also, you know, corporate stuff and their sponsors, but they're trying to get into how people use their hobbies to raise money for St. Jude. So that's kind of where I came up with the Makers for St. Jude idea is if I'm doing this, I have a hobby. There's so many talented people out there that have these hobbies. You know, you can raffle something, and I've given away about 6 charcuterie boards for other St. Jude fundraisers, and they'll raise at least $500 for a charcuterie board. Yeah. So, so I was like, initially I was going to call it Woodworkers for St. Jude, but then I'm like, you know, I do mainly woodworking, but there's so many makers includes a lot more people. If you do candles, a quilt, whatever, do it. So, and then I launched that in February. So, you know, starting to, you know, trying to promote and everything. So, and we've had some participants. We're currently at $4,600 raised. So what the Makers for St. Jude is, it's a group fundraiser. So it's a group St. Jude fundraiser, and my Woodworker versus Cancer is just one fundraiser within that. So anybody can create their own fundraiser under the group, and then their fundraiser gets credit for their money, but then it goes to the group money also. So I set the goal for 10,000. You know, we're at 4,600, and so, you know, by July 1st, it would have been good to be at 5,000, but started late and everything. But we'll hit 10,000. We'll find a way. Just get the word out there.
You keep knocking out those waterfall tables like you do, and the classy bow ties that you're putting in there, man. I'm telling you, that money will start rolling in.
Little known secret, I am the hand-cut bow tie king of Sarpy County.
I don't know how many other bow tie kings there could be in Sarpy County, but first place out of 1 is still first place.
Yeah, I mean, I'm in the hand-cut category, so, you know, I don't know how much competition is, but I'm take the title for now.
I was going to say, you be
cool,
careful.
Man.
I don't think Dan's watching. So.
Yeah. Oh, no, he's the bow tie king of Sarpy County, believe me. I've cut about 20 so far, so.
So how do people get involved with the Makers for St. Jude project?
Okay. So I created a website. It's makersforstjude.org. and it lists the makers that have participated or said they want to participate. There's a how to participate tab, and it tells you ways you can do. And one thing is I just want to be one maker. I want people to give me feedback, and I want the community to say, hey, we should do this or that, because I'm just throwing my ideas, but there's a lot of other people out there that have great ideas how to make this go. So, and it's not like just for this year. I plan to just keep doing it. So one thing I thought about that might kind of help get a lot of people interested, and some of them say, well, I'm interested, but I don't know what to do. And then the other thing is some people are like, oh, if I raffle this, I'm not going to make much money. And I'm like, people have been generally raffle for at least 3 times what you'd normally sell it for. I mean, when you're raising money for kids with cancer, people are going to donate. They don't care if they win or not. So,
Right.
Yep. So if you go to makersforstjude.org or on the Instagram page, Makers for St. Jude, it has a link to the website. It also has a link to the fundraising site, so you can see how to sign up for that. And when you sign up for a St. Jude fundraiser, I think the default's $300, and you can hit that. I mean, you could just post that on your Facebook, and you'll get people that would donate that. So, and you don't have to make something. You could just go there and donate directly to the Makers for St. Jude group fundraiser. So,
Oh, you've updated the website since I was last here.
yeah.
There's
That's what I do. That's what I do for my real job. I do, enterprise web stuff. So I was kind of backwards in old school. Like when I started the Woodworkers versus Cancer, I did the website first, then Facebook, and then a few months after that, I did Instagram. So which is probably totally backwards from what everybody does these days, but that's what I do. So, but I think I like the website because all the information's right there. Like Instagram, you get 200 characters to explain something. So.
Well, and for everybody at some point this will be audio only, but so the website, this is really cool. It shows previously donated items and how much they raised and each of those things. And then it's got upcoming stuff, and it connects to all the makers that are doing this. So this is really cool.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, if you want to do, obviously I'm on there several times because that's what I'm doing. I'm going to keep doing. But if somebody wants to do it 3 times in the year, do it. I'll list you 3 times, and you're on that website. And the goal is it starts getting momentum, and then people see other makers. And I just did that end from Against the Grain, and got some people interested in buying more stuff from him. So he donated that, I raffled it, and now he's going to get more business hopefully.
So if somebody who's listening or watching this show wants to get a piece of work into your hands because the act of auctioning it might be a little overwhelming for them, what would be the first steps, or how do we reach out, or what would you suggest?
The thing is, probably send me an Instagram message. We have people that have done the raffles, so we can kind of give them templates and all that. And then, when you raffle it, I'll share it with my Woodworker versus Cancer on Facebook and Instagram, Makers for St. Jude on Facebook and Instagram, and also my personal Facebook. I have a lot of people on my personal Facebook that there are more people that'll buy stuff than my Instagram account. So, but yeah, send me a message. There's no right or wrong way to do it. You could just sell something outright, donate a percentage of it, donate it all. You could raffle it. What I found is raffles do great, so that's what I've been recommending. But definitely, if you have any questions, please send me a message.
Very cool. Yeah, I've got a charger platter or something that I think I might want to get to Omaha for you. So we'll work on some details after the show is over.
Yep. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, get a hold of me and we'll figure something out. And a lot of the makers are doing their own raffles, so because in that way they get all their contacts. So yeah, and then hopefully other people that have participated with it will share it. So next time I do a raffle, all the other past participants would share it. So
very cool.
I thought is that might help people that are kind of stuck what to do or when to do it is September is Childhood Cancer Awareness Month, and maybe that would be a good thing to kind of get it going then, saying, hey, September, let's get some people going and doing that. And hopefully, when some bigger Instagram accounts, with a lot of followers or whatever start doing it, then people will start to follow.
So have you considered, I mean, there's a lot of makers in the Omaha and surrounding areas. Have you considered anything like, I don't know if craft fair is the right word for it, but any sort of event around this? Is there any plans to take it bigger like that?
I haven't yet, just because, I'm just kind of getting going, and, just based on time or whatever, but it would be cool to maybe do something like that sometime. Maybe even, just up the road from me, Soaring Wings, where some people can bring stuff and sell it and proceeds go there. And kind of what I've been doing is just, old school marketing is I'll just send people direct messages on Instagram telling what we're doing and asking them if they want to join. So there's a lot of people interested. They're just trying to figure out what they want to do. Kind of like a couple weeks ago on another Woodshop podcast, Adam Barnett was talking about, makers wanting to get sponsors and everything. He's like, just contact them. What are the worst thing they can say is no. So that's what I'm going to do. Just, keep contacting individuals, and if they want to do it, great. If they don't, that's fine. I mean, some people, they support other nonprofits or whatever, but just ask them, get the word out there.
Yeah. And for the people that are in the chat right now, also, don't forget that if you have questions or want us to read an idea that you have out loud, there's should be a little question bubble down there. Yet again, I can't see the questions because of my good fortune. So,
hey, since I don't have air like Braden, I'm gonna grab a paper towel.
Yeah, go for it.
Let's see. In the chat, let's see. What about a childhood cancer crate challenge? Craft.
There we go.
Craft.
Oh, now I switched hats too. Childhood crate challenge.
I think it's actually a childhood cancer craft challenge.
Okay.
That's a lot of C's.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what exactly either one of you guys know what that would be.
I'm not sure.
I think it's just issuing awareness to the maker community and maybe finding a way to get submissions all funneled into the same place, either for raffles or fundraising.
Yeah. I mean, that's something, there's a lot of challenges, out there for makers. And we could do a challenge, but then when you're done, then you raffle off what you made. So instead of, winning something, everybody then raffles it off. So that's I like that idea. And like I said, anybody that has ideas, just send me a message. I mean, the more ideas, we get, the better. Because we're going to hit 10,000 by the end of the year.
Oh, I think it's very, very likely. I think you guys got the motivation, the mojo, and I think that you're doing the right work for the right people too. So you're
And the thing with St. Jude is they share all their research internationally. So when you donate to St. Jude, you're not donating to just one hospital. Whatever, trials and everything they do, they share it. So everybody benefits, all hospitals, all nations. So, it's not just St. Jude has this technology.
very, very cool.
Well,
so I want to ask a handful of woodworking questions also while I've got you here. The most famous of which...
Number one, shellac is off the list.
Well, we've touched on shellac, but look, all I'm saying is if it's good enough for keeping the candy melting in your mouth and not in your hands in World War One, two, something like that.
Well, I think they use them for pills also.
Yeah. Again, it's bug excretion, but again, totally edible.
Yeah.
And depending on your take on kosher, it could be kosher, depending on your way to go about it. I mean, it's food safe.
And I love the smell of denatured alcohol.
Sure. White fuel smells great, man. Yeah. And then, again, it's like the key ingredient in a French polish, which, like, of all of the historical, beautiful furniture that got made for royalty all throughout Europe, we're talking like before the USA existed in the sense that we have it now.
Yeah.
All of those finishes were linseed oil, shellac, and thyme, which is really cool.
I like in the comments. Just
all right,
because
so
it's
sorry,
non-toxic doesn't mean it's
fire
food.
off with your questions.
Okay, so I want to know, a majority of the woodworking that you're doing is flat work, right? Cabinets, tables, furniture. Is
Right.
there a maker, I guess, path that you haven't explored yet that if money were no object and you could throw yourself into it, what would that be?
You know, there's been several times where I've thought a lathe would be cool. Yeah. And,
And
you
then
know,
the
I've
I mean,
feeling,
researched them
the
and
feeling passes.
well,
you're
it
using the
comes
word
and
would
goes.
be, but like a lathe is cool.
No, I know. But yeah, I just think it would be relaxing and everything. But I just haven't pulled the trigger on it. So
Okay. But it wouldn't be like quilting or using a Cricut
no,
or
no,
complex soap making.
no. I'll just go buy the soap.
Makes sense.
Although my
Gotcha.
grandma made the most comfortable quilts. I miss those. You put one of those over you and you just fall asleep and get a great nap in.
Yeah, I
Oh,
am blessed that my mother is a quilter. Her entire basement, it looks like it's set up for a sweatshop, but it's just a short little redheaded lady down there knocking out king size quilts left and right. It's pretty
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I mean,
We,
my grandma used all scraps, so I mean there was no pattern to them. They were just all unique. So
That's
good news,
really, really
everybody.
cool.
We just extended arts and crafts time by 4 hours today. But my fingers hurt.
Now your
Yeah.
back's gonna hurt. So, okay. So the other question is we've got a lot of furniture projects in the Instagram feed. Is there a furniture project that you haven't done yet?
You
that you want to get to?
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of mid-century modern, like a console table or whatever, and I'd like to try to design one and make one. I think that would be cool. Something I haven't done. I've done a ton of mission craftsman stuff, shaker stuff. So I think that's just something I haven't done with those curves and joinery and all that. So that's definitely something on my radar.
Very cool. Braden, what you got going on up there?
We've got a lot of good questions coming in. Do you have a holy grail wood? I'm assuming some type of wood that you'd like to work with or prefer to work with, or both.
You know, walnut's always the easy answer. I like quarter sawn white oak. I like cherry. I got a killer deal on Sapele, the local woodcraft, about 5 years ago. Sent out a email by accident, and I called him. He's like, "Yeah, if it's in the email, come and get it." And I went and got a bunch of it. So the ribbon on the Sapele is cool. Here's a local wood I'll show you. I posted it to my stories yesterday. Quarter sawn sycamore.
Beautiful.
I don't know if it's going to
stuff.
Can you see that?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and look at those bow ties. Yeah, so
Quarter sawn sycamore is just like a disco, man. It looks almost like leopard wood. It's really cool.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I need to get some more because that's my last board. I was doing some quarter sawn sycamore charcuterie boards, and they were going like crazy. People just loved them. And it's one of those local woods that I don't think any big sawmills sell that. So you got to find a local place, and sometimes it's hard for them to find it. There's a place, Big Red Sawmill, Braden. I don't know if you've ever heard that. Again, he has sycamore, but he's doing a lot of slabs with it instead of quarter sawing it. So, which that's the way a lot of stuff is, like the walnut and all that.
Well, again, I mean, people keep buying them, so you can't blame them for making it, right?
Yep. So, yeah, I like a lot of woods just for different reasons. I mean, I'm not a fan of plain sawn red oak, but rift sawn red oak is really neat.
Well, again, I'm really into hackberry. I've been going through like a real hackberry phase, mostly because it's so full of sugar that if you lay it in a pile of leaves for 6 months, once you cut it, it just turns into this party of spalting, much more than what you see. Like if you go hit the racks at like a Woodcraft or something like that, it'll really take off.
Yeah.
And so I'm a spalt junkie. So that's the one that gets me. Braden, what about you?
I'm such a basic woodworker. I just love walnut. I like working with it. But My secret wood that like I really enjoy working with works out really well because it's also one of the cheapest, but ambrosia maple is
Does Liberty sell that?
yeah. So they sell it, but you have to order it, and basically they bring it in from the Kansas City location. But
Okay.
you can get it for it's like 3 1/4 a board foot, and it's
So is that like a soft maple or?
Yeah, it's usually like silver maple that has ambrosia beetle damage is what we get
Okay.
in St. Louis. And I'm
All
sure you guys being Midwestern, you guys have silver maples all over, right?
Yeah.
We love them. Helicopters everywhere.
Yeah, and those weird broccolis that they drop. Yeah, that stuff's fun.
That's
just picked up.
pretty neat.
Ooh,
I just picked up
yeah.
all this
Yeah.
stuff.
And you said it's
My brother.
what, about 3 1/4?
Yeah, it's like the same price as cherry, and I mean I've got tons of it right now. My brother wants to build a. Here I'm digging through my lumber like it matters. My brother wants to build like a basic, like modern TV stand, and he's like, "What's a cool wood? I want something that's interesting." And I was like, "Well, we could do it in walnut." And he's like, "Well, how much is that?" And he's like 24. Told him what it would be. He's like, "Hey, what's like a really cool wood that's not that?" I'm like, "We should just do this. It's cheap and it looks interesting." So we've got a bunch of stuff here, and got all
I will
of
say,
this for like $90.
I've worked with a lot of walnut. I've never purchased commercial kiln dried steamed walnut. Just the walnut around here it's still kiln dried, but it's not steamed. So much better color. Instead of just chocolatey browns, you get, and I have one over here. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. Let me turn this around. So like here, you probably won't be able to tell it, but just the different colors and everything in that, and that's air dried.
Yeah, you get the purples and the greens, and yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. And then there's just a little one. But yeah, it's weird. You get silvers in there and reds, and it's like, look at all this color. So yeah, what does 4/4 walnut run right now, Braden? From Liberty?
11, around 11 1/4.
Okay.
Something like that. I just went out there yesterday, day before, I don't know, earlier this week. And I got a board because the last time I was there, Dylan, the guy there, showed me this board.
Oh, he is, yep.
Yeah, so he showed me this board that was in their stack of 4/4 walnut. Actually, no, it's 5/4. And he showed it to me, and he was talking. He's like, "Hey, a guy wanted to buy this, and he wanted to buy a bunch of walnut and rip it down and use it for like cabinets or something like that." And I wouldn't let him buy this piece because he wanted to rip this up. And this piece is, I kid you not, it's probably 14, 15 inches wide. And he's like, he told the guys like, "No, you can buy," because he was going to rip it into like 3-inch strips or something like that. And he's like, "No, you can buy other stuff. I'm not selling you this." So I just
I'm not selling you this.
Yeah, I couldn't stop thinking about it. So I drove down there, and I needed to make more of these rainbow boards that I'm doing for the Trevor project, and went and bought it, and it's working out perfect because it's these boards are 12 inches thick, so I basically just trim off the edges, and I have a solid piece of wood instead of having to do glue ups.
Oh, nice. So how wide is that?
What's that?
How wide is that?
This is 12 inches.
Okay.
And I cut 2-3 inches off from it. So I'm a little nervous.
Yeah, I would pay $11 a board foot for 13-inch wide walnut.
Yeah.
All day.
Well, I'm a little nervous because I don't know where this massive piece of walnut is in this shot. Oh, there it is. Here we go. I just have chunks of wood standing up everywhere. I went to Dan's custom sawmill today and got a big piece of wood.
Did he
that.
Still have his 20% off going? Oh, that's nice.
He had it written down, but I forgot to ask him for it, so I paid full price like a dummy. But I like him enough that he's worth spending full price on.
Yeah. So I think I finished it around a little bit before Christmas. Walnut sofa table, and the top was curly walnut I got from him. Oh, that looks so nice.
I have I got an order over the weekend at that Pick-a-Pooch event that I did, where a gal saw one of my epoxy boards and she's like, I want 4 of these for my staff as gifts. And so I'm working on that. But I think I've decided I got a piece of maple instead of oak, which is what she saw. But I've got this big long piece of maple that's got kind of some twists and stuff to it. So I'll do all the epoxy work. And I'm going to do it to where if you set all the boards next to each other, it's one continuous piece. I think that'll be, metaphorically cool with the, we're a work family and we're all together, some stuff like that.
Yeah. So there's another question. What wood do you hate working with? When I got my CNC, half of it was bird's eye maple, and this stuff is absolutely gorgeous, but it's hard. I mean, it's probably like Osage orange, and and I don't have spiral knives on my joiner or planer, but even drum sanding it, but it just wants to tear out. And running it on the CNC, you got to get with a down cut bit. You got to crank that collet because it'll actually pull the bit out of the collet. Check this out. I've had this happen a couple times, and it just starts sucking it down, and because it's so hard. Look at that.
That's what she said.
That's a little marble maze you got there. Fun.
Yeah. That's a little deeper cut than you need to go completely through it. So I'll tell you what. This bench I built when I built this shop, and having a complete bench is just so awesome. I just love this thing.
That's a really, really nice. That's the Rubo style, right?
Yep. And I did Wood Whisperers video and everything, and it's a lot of work, but when you just go step by step, it actually wasn't too bad. So this hardware comes from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, and this thing here, it's not a quick release vise, but you can have this vise completely open and just spin it, and boom, it's done. So it's a beast. This is all hard maple. So
that's cool.
This thing weighs over 400 pounds, but it's nice not having to clamp wood on the face. So, you can sand and have the dogs pop up. And so it's like, the first project I did, kind of woodworking, but I had a miter saw that I used just for construction work, but I made a workbench out of 2x4s and a solid core door. And I had that up to, about 8 years ago. So it did the job. It's in my garage now. So just beat the crap out of it. And it's kind of the first thing I built. So.
Hey man, if it works, it works, right?
Yep. So you guys, what's your least favorite?
Locust.
Ooh.
Yeah, no, I don't even have to think about that. Locust is a wood that, I understand exists, and there's a bunch of turners that really love working with honey locust. And when it's green, it's not that bad. But I can't wrap my head around the idea of a furniture maker sitting and pondering about their next project and being like, you know what, this Windsor chair that I'm going to make, or this stick chair, I'm going to do it in locust. I don't see anybody making those decisions. And now I know that because I put it out there into the ethos, I'm going to get 30 messages about people who have made honey locust stick chairs.
I love honey locust, so.
Well, again,
I have so many
whoever is behind Black Diamond Woodcraft, to each their own, but I am not.
Yeah, it's hard. And the other thing is those pods, when they fall in the fall, they kind of smell sweet, but if dogs chew on them, it's like the worst dog breath ever. When we lived in town, we had one in our yard, not the one with the thorns, and we had 2 cockers then, and they would go out there and just chew on these. They come in, it's like, that just reeks. But must taste good.
It is cool. It glows under a black light, for those of you who want to identify whether this wood is locust or not. Just get your black light out and play Dateline NBC in the wood shop, and you'll see all of the different things that are...
So the grain's similar to probably ash?
Yeah, it's not far off. It's just, I think it's got a really high silica content in it also. So it dulls wood turning tools a little bit quicker while you're working it, which is my problem because I'm lazy. And even though I'm adept at sharpening, I'd rather not sharpen. I'd rather blow, wood curlies all over the shop instead.
Yeah.
But yeah.
When I got done with that Rubo, there was a lot of tools, blades, bits, or whatever that either went to the sharpening service or in the trash because, man, that hard maple will beat it up.
Absolutely.
You know what?
Braden, do you have a nemesis wood?
Mine is not a hardwood. I build so much stuff out of plywood just because so much of my business is like cornhole boards. I absolutely despise shitty plywood. I hate it because the veneer wants to rip off and it just blows out and it just everything about it. It doesn't sound good on the CNC.
You don't like
another one
cutting around all the footballs that they put on one side, or
I don't even really care about cutting around them. It's just so many voids. It's just bad. It's just bad. I don't even like using it as shop furniture because, when the veneer starts to rip off, it's like, man, even that looks too trashy for even shop furniture.
Yeah. But another wood I'm not a fan of is Eastern red cedar. I actually have a bunch another place I have wood is under my deck because it's cedar. It can be outside. But
sure.
I made those chairs like Daniel Dunlop made that slide into each other. Yeah. I made chairs like that out of Eastern red cedar, and it's probably hard on tools with all those knots and everything, and smells like a guinea pig cage in your shop. And it's like, okay, this. I used it once, but maybe the next person that buys this house is going to inherit that Eastern red cedar. So
yeah, but you save the sawdust from working on cedar and put it in Ziploc bags with holes punched in it and stuff it into all the corners of your workshop, and it keeps the buggies and the vermin and the mice and everything away.
Right.
So,
yep. Put them in all the closets in your house. And
I turn cedar 2 or 3 times a year for the express purpose of keeping the mice away. So,
but there's a lot of people that I've seen locally using Eastern red cedar slabs. That Eagle Edge, I don't know if you follow him, Braden. He's made pool tables out of it.
Yeah. I've seen those. They're slick.
Yeah.
All right. We got another question. What's your favorite tool in your shop and most used?
I think I just showed it. That workbench, I use the crap out of that. I mean, I even built here. I'll get the Moxon out.
Great freaking answer to that question.
So and then I have the Benchcraft. Oh, I gotta switch it around. I have the Moxon also.
Very fun.
Yeah. So, this thing here, it's just a beast. You got dogs everywhere. And then what I like is the center thing will pop out, and you can fit parallel clamps in there.
Oh, so cool.
Yeah, just the clamping options. And these other things, these hold fast, you wouldn't think these things would do anything. You give that a couple whacks with a mallet, and nothing's moving. It's permanent. I mean, those things have been used for centuries. And so, but I try with power tools, I try to use the bandsaw as much as possible. Even though I have a saw stop, I just, I like the bandsaw. But I did learn a lesson that the bandsaw is not always safe. I was cutting pear for smoking woods, and a lot of these little fruit trees, even though they're not big branches, it's hard. And it was probably 2-3 inches in diameter, and it actually, the kerf closed and broke a 1/2-inch blade.
Oh, wow.
And when you're running a bandsaw and a piece of wood catches a blade and stops it from moving and it breaks, that scares the crap out of you.
Yeah.
Because that's the last
No, you wear the brown pants in the shop that day. I mean, khaki. Sorry.
Yeah.
Wear your khakis.
Yeah, that's the last tool that you think that's going to happen. So my buddy, I was like, nope, no more parawood for that. So, but
yeah, I had my first bandsaw injury was last 2 Fridays ago. 2 Fridays ago, I was moving way too fast on not enough sleep, and I nicked my finger, and it was at that moment that I realized, one, I'm glad I don't do much work on a table saw, period, but also bandsaws are safer than table saws because I'm already healed up.
Yeah.
So, but yeah,
So TJ, do you do all turning work, or do you do any flat work? Or
Yeah, so I do flat work. I do the home repairs. I mean, I made cutting boards. I think way down in the bottom of my like Instagram stories, I was doing woodworking that way. But yeah. Right now, I don't know if Sarah Beth is still in here. She was in for a minute, but I've been helping a local artist with some problem solving on some sculptures that she needed some help with. But yeah, next up, I think, and this is sort of hush hush, but me and a local guy, I are a big fan of playing arcade games, like on emulators and stuff like that. And so I think box making and custom arcade fight sticks are going to be coming out of the workshop here in the not too distant future.
Oh, nice.
So I've got a good knack for finding and selecting pretty wood and putting it in the right places, and then turning the joystick bat tops and ball tops is coming in the not too distant future also. So that kind of flat work.
Are there certain woods that you are better to turn green and other ones that are better to be dry?
I don't know if I have opinion. Most wood is easier to turn green just because the moisture content and the tools go through it a little easier, and it's nice, but the drying process can warp your piece, right?
Well, yeah.
And so
after it's finished.
Yeah, so you can either turn it halfway and then let it sit in a box of shavings for 6 months, or just make your piece with warped wood, which is most of what I do. Or if you can turn it really, really thin in one sitting, you can actually, with the centrifuge of the lathe, get that moisture content down under 11% before you're done finishing. You just spin the moisture out, which is kind of fun. But it'll still warp a little bit. But yeah, I don't think there's like some of the elms can get really, really hard once they've dried. Yeah. Pecan green versus pecan creep once it's dried. And
pecan's like a softer hickory, right?
Until it dries, and then it's like this invincible super wood that's impenetrable by anything. But yeah, I don't know, some of the softer hardwoods or the dicots like willow and stuff, like that stuff doesn't matter if it's green or if it's dry, it turns real nice. Persimmon is really, really hard, but it turns beautiful. I think I had my biggest turning breakthrough turning persimmon sapwood. It flew off the tool like clay. It was the coolest thing.
This is when I first got going out in Trainer, Iowa. There was a guy, this guy had just barns full of wood. And he told me about it, but he said one of his favorite woods was persimmon. Yeah.
If you can get old growth persimmon, the inside of it is like ebony.
Really?
It's black. Yeah, really, really cool stuff. And they used to make golf clubs with it. I mean, they used to call woods because they were made out of persimmon, or at least the nice ones were.
Yeah, this guy, he had a circular sawmill, and this saw blade, I don't know what the diameter was on it, but it was scary. It's like, I wouldn't want to be within a football field of that thing spinning. Carbide goes flying off that or whatever. It's like, no way.
No, wear a mouth guard, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yep.
But yeah, persimmon is a really pretty wood, and it is a little bit prone to bugginess, but like if you like picking bug remains out of wood, I mean, like, it's pretty cool. Black Diamond doesn't like Siberian elm. It looks really good in parking lots. It's not my favorite to work with, to like make stuff with, but like Siberian elms are great parking lot trees. Zelkova, or Chinese elm, is another one of the weird elms that, like, you see them on college campus parking lots and grocery stores and stuff. They're trees that grow like this. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like this. But their bark is really cool because it's got orange on the edge of it. And I think my wife might still be in the show. Yeah, she's still in the show. Effie, we should put a Zelkova tree at the front of our front garden bed where we took out those scraggly pines. But like, when it's green, it's kind of smelly, but after it dries, it smells like potpourri when you turn it, which is pretty cool. So, Yep, well, there's my answer right there.
No.
A boy can wish.
Yeah, I had not weeping willows, but I had 4 white willow trees on our property. They are nasty. And I'll tell you, those things suck so much water. Actually, there was one just kind of where my shop is right now on the corner that I cut down quite a while ago. And when you cut it down, you're like, this is hardwood. And then like 6 months later, it's like styrofoam. Yeah. Yeah. It's just, they just suck the water. All right.
But there's a balance in there. Yeah. Do we have any more questions down in the chatty chat? We're getting on 10 o'clock, so
We have a couple. Your wife's been busy. Would you rather fight a horse-sized duck or 50 duck-sized horses? I love this question.
You know what? I hike a lot, and Tram Park has these ducks, and they're small, and they get pissed off. So if one was horse-sized, no way. So I don't even like the little ones.
So 50 duck-sized horses? Okay.
What piece are you most proud of?
You know, one of them is when I first got going, a lady at work asked me to build this mission sofa, and this thing was big. I had a jet contractor saw with a dado blade. I had a drill press and chisels, and I did all the mortise and tenon doing that. You know, no mortising jig, no tenoning jig, and I mean it was crazy because you had the front stretchers on that thing. I actually used a roller stand sideways with the thing and trying to cut dados, and wow, that was scary. But that mission sofa turned out awesome. When I told her I would build that, I thought I was way over my head, and I was, but I think I just got lucky on stuff. So that there kind of really gave me confidence because back then I didn't have tools, which kind of tells you don't have to have the best tools to get into woodworking.
That's cool.
Well, all right. Well, before we wrap it up, just a reminder to everybody, thank you to our sponsors, George Supply Co. and Surf Prep Sanding. They're great. If you need a sander, check out Surf Prep. They are amazing. I love mine. And if you need CA glue and swag for yourself as a maker, George Supply Co. is the place to do it. Also, don't forget, if you are watching this live and you want to re-listen to or listen to any of our old episodes, you can listen to them on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music or Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Amazon Music, and I can't even remember all of the places that it's at. All of your podcast apps that you like are there. So, all right, TJ, why don't you take us home?
All right. So normally at the end of the show, I like to ask our guests to give us maybe not a motivational speech, maybe not a quote, but tell us something, right? To get us excited, to kick open the door of our workshops, get out there, make a mess, karate chop our workbenches, sharpen our tools. What do you got for us, man?
I think like right now, Instagram, people want the reels to take off. They want 100,000 followers. And I was like, just get out there with the tools you got, make something. You don't need the best tools, do something that you want to do it for yourself. If people will follow you and whatever, but just get out there and make stuff. I mean, that's how I started. I just started with little tools and just kept going. And so.
I love it. Doesn't matter if it's good or bad. Just by picking up a tool and doing it.
Do it for yourself, not for social media or any of that. Just do it and enjoy it.
Wait.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Not for social media? What's the point?
Hey, when I started, I learned everything from magazines and a forum. So
yeah,
that's how.
Just remember, if a tree falls in your neighborhood and you're not around to scoop up the wood, you missed out on free wood.
Yep. So, but thanks a lot, guys, for having me on and help me, tell the story about the Makers for St. Jude. And like I said, anybody has questions, please contact me. And I'm going to post a hat giveaway here. Give a Makers for St. Jude hat, so that should be up shortly. So,
all right, that's awesome.
Well, I think we're down to our second. So, Mike, thanks for joining us. We'll catch you guys next time.
Yep. Take care.
All right,
guys. Thanks a lot.
All right. How do I end this without killing it?